Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today in gaming, Warzone's latest update is a mixed bag. Cyberpunk multiplayer will be different than expected, No Man's Sky got a surprise update, and much more. The mid-season update for Call of Duty Warzone and Cold War made a few minor tweaks to Warzone and added new content to Modern Warfare. The Cold War's AUG base recoil has been increased. Since the start of Season 2, the AUG has dominated Warzone's meta alongside the FFAR. Many players were hoping this update would rebalance Warzone's weapons, but the AUG is still the only gun affected by the patch. The patch does fail to mention several new additions to both Warzone and Modern Warfare. Warzone players will find a new kill streak called Bombardment tucked away in containment monitor stations found throughout the map. The kill streak is a missile barrage that sounds pretty devastating. To get it, you'll need to complete one of the zombie trial stations. Use the yellow keycard to open the yellow supply crate. In the crate, you'll find a protocol access card. This card unlocks the bombardment kill streak. As for Modern Warfare, 3 new maps have been added to the game: the original Modern Warfare's Kill House and 2 gunfight maps called Drainage and Al-Rab Airbase. Overall, I'd say this update's a bit disappointing. Stat tracking websites are showing Warzone's meta getting increasingly stale. Players are favoring a handful of weapons over everything else, leading to every gunfight feeling the same. It's true that most of Warzone's weapons are viable, but being viable and being on meta are two very different things. Raven has some work to do if they want to even out Warzone's weapon balance, and slightly tweaking one gun isn't exactly going to cut it. To make matters worse, it seems like the infinite stim glitch has returned again. Raven also added the RCXD to the buy menu at the bottom of the list, breaking everyone's muscle memory for buying loadouts. Cyberpunk 2077's developers are confident the game will return to the PlayStation Store soon. It was delisted from sale shortly after launch due to widespread complaints about performance, bugs, and crashes. The patch CD Projekt Red released this week seems to have resolved many of those issues. The final decision to relist the game is up to Sony. As for the more distant future of Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red announced many internal changes happening at the company yesterday. One of those changes is a revised focus on multiplayer content. Instead of releasing Cyberpunk's multiplayer as a standalone experience, CD Projekt Red will instead integrate it directly with the existing game. The change may not ultimately mean much of anything for players, but it shows the developers are focusing more on multiplayer going forward. No Man's Sky just got a surprise update. Expeditions adds several quality of life improvements to make co-op gameplay much more accessible. Players can now start with a new character on the same planet as their friends and plot a communal route through the galaxy. Expeditions themselves are seasonal content journeys that reward you with special ships, cosmetics, and commemorative patches for completing them. Once you finish an expedition, you can continue playing the game as if it's a regular save file. Aside from the expeditions, a bunch of smaller improvements have also been made to the game. Space station missions have been overhauled to be more in-depth and rewarding. Missions objectives have to be found rather than just following a static quest marker. Twitch drops have been enabled and will kick off tomorrow. Rendezvous planets have also been added to serve as player hubs. Starships have been given an HD facelift. The heads-up display has been totally overhauled, and performance has also been improved. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Lite is shutting down. It's the free-to-play version of PUBG that was designed for low-spec PCs. While there was a lot of excitement for the Lite version because it was free-to-play, it eventually faded into the background. The developer slowly removed all paid microtransactions and content, making everything earnable through gameplay. It will officially go offline on April 29th, but customer support will stay online until May 29th. The Halo Master Chief Collection Season 6 update arrives on April 7th and offers some pretty exciting content. It adds 2 maps from Halo Online, also known as the cancelled free-to-play Halo game for Russia. The new maps are Waterfall and Edge. They're fantastic looking and might signal more of Halo Online's content is coming to the Master Chief Collection. Season 6 also adds a 100-tier season pass, new cosmetics, a new set of seasonal challenges, and much more on top of the new content. The update will also add a custom game browser to make finding public custom games more accessible. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth's final expansion is live. Repentance is a massive addition to the game that is based on a community-made mod for the game. The game's developers took the mod and reworked it from the ground up, adding new features, items, and content to both the base game and what the mod originally offered. Probably the biggest feature though is proper co-op. Instead of being stuck playing with one main character and a generic sidekick buddy, both players can select their own character. While the co-op is local only, Steam users can utilize Steam Remote to play online with friends. Repentance is officially the end of Rebirth's content updates. The developers say it closes the book on the game and they won't be adding more DLC in the future. The Final Cut edition of Disco Elysium is here. While it adds some new content and features, the most significant addition is full voice acting for all of the game's written dialogue. Most of Disco Elysium's storytelling is done through character interactions and internal dialogue happening in your character's head. The voice acting embellishes that experience by making all of the storytelling, well, really tell itself rather than reading through it. The Final Cut edition is a free upgrade for existing players and replaces the game's original version. 505 Games purchased the rights to sci-fi melee brawler Ghostrunner for nearly $6 million. 505 was originally in talks to buy the IP before launch but wasn't willing to cough up the amount the publisher was asking for. The game was a smash hit at launch, recouping its entire budget on day one. It's expected to hit next-gen consoles and Amazon's Luna Games streaming service later this year. Medieval melee brawler Chivalry 2 is getting a cross-play closed beta in April. It'll let players on all platforms duke it out against each other starting on April 23rd and going until the 26th. The game officially launches on June 8th for PC, Sony, and Xbox consoles. It'll have a free cross-gen upgrade for players that buy it on last-gen hardware and upgrade to the current gen in the future. Control devs Remedy might be returning to their smash hit Alan Wake with a proper sequel. Industry insider and GamesBeat editor Jeff Grubb says he heard Remedy are working with Epic to make Alan Wake 2. Epic will provide upfront funding as part of a publishing deal, which is similar to how they financed other recent titles. The caveat is that means Alan Wake 2 could be an Epic Store exclusive. Remedy have teased a sequel to the original Alan Wake for years. Most recently, they got the rights to the IP back from Microsoft, who originally published the game. That led to tons of speculation about a sequel, but Remedy developed Control instead. Control and Alan Wake are considered part of the same universe, and there's even an Alan Wake DLC available for the game. Before we get to today's final story, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This past week, we've covered a ton of Battlefield 6 leaks. If there's any Battlefield news or info that you think we should cover that we haven't already, let us know in the comments. Genshin Impact is getting a PlayStation 5 upgrade at some point soon. They announced the upgrade in a new trailer showcasing its various improvements. On PlayStation 5, the game will run at native 4K with a high frame rate, enhanced visuals, and more. Now, exactly what "and more" actually means is unclear. The trailer is incredibly vague about the enhancements. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.